computer. I've been having the hardest time with the records. Like my stuff is not showing up, which is why you haven't seen all my classes on YouTube. Is anybody using the YouTube, watching the videos on YouTube at all? We're still going to post them there, but I wonder how useful that is to you guys. All right, my first question is, drum roll, how have you guys been doing on the, thank you, Courtney, on the reflections of the past assignment? Xavier's a thumbs up. Anybody else want to give me some feedback on that?
I've got an idea, but I haven't done it yet.
Okay.
Do you have like the directions on Canvas?
Yep.
Okay, because I don't think I found it. I was having
Yeah.
a hard time finding it.
If you click on assignments on Canvas and then you just go down to reflections of the past, when I look at it, it's the fourth one down. I don't know how it will show on yours. Quinn's been procrastinating on it. So the directions are on there and I have it actually in steps. So it's really, hopefully the directions are very clear. I tried to make it do this, do this, do this, so nobody was confused. The proud, the success, and the failure thing. Yes, exactly. So I was hoping you guys would have worked on that a little bit yesterday because, oh, Xavier's already finished his. What a good kid, Xavier. Did you turn it in too? Turning it in, that's the important part. Got to turn it in too. Christy finished, good job. The reason I was hoping you would have finished is because we are going to be moving into something else. But before we go, I want to talk a little bit more about failure. And actually, I don't want to talk anymore. I want to drink water. Philip, can you talk about failure for us? You are muted, my friend.
Okay. You guys hear me? Yeah. So failure, I wanted to share with you guys today about, just my own personal experience with failure and overcoming it. So basically, I had to go through one big experience during my college years. I think it was my sophomore year, and I was having trouble with, I think we discussed this before, with the imposter syndrome, feeling like you get unlucky because you just get unlucky. You're not gaining all your credit, so like you're not doing good because you're actually good, but because you're just getting lucky and you're just here for the ride and tagging along basically. That's how I felt like after think my going into my junior year, and there was a what you call it, an internship that somebody recommended me to apply for, and it was a Washington State legislative internship. And actually, I was like, at first I was telling them like the person that recommended me, who's the person that's in charge of like the internships and uh, ILCs, like independent study contracts at Evergreen. So I was like, I can't do this. I don't think I can do it. It sounds too legit. So I was talking negative to myself, but then she kind of convinced me to apply for it, and I applied for it, and I wrote a really, really good essay that I really worked hard on, and she helped me out the whole time, and I ended up getting an interview actually, not the internship, but I ended up getting an interview, which like if you get the interview is like a really, really big step. It's almost like 75% of the work is done basically, or maybe like 80 or 85% of it is done. All I had to do was just go to the interview, which is the easiest part that not even comparing to the actual essay or everything that it took for me to actually get the interview. That's like the easiest part of the whole application process for me to get selected for the Washington State uh, legislation. And that was so I got the interview date, and then we had a mock interviews at Evergreen for the Evergreen students. So mostly all colleges, all students from other colleges in Washington, who gets accepted, they all have mock interviews at their schools. And these schools include big schools, Gonzaga, University of Washington, Wazoo, like you know. And anyways, I went for the mock interview, and by far of me and four other people in the class with the people who were interviewing us, by far my interview they told me was the best one. And we were like, at the mock interview it was us, everybody was there, so like they will ask a question and I'll answer it, and then the other people next to me, the other students will also answer it. And then at the end, they were giving feedbacks, and I was like, "Yeah, you look really comfortable, comfortable being here." And plus, I had gotten, I wore the suit that I was gonna wear when I would go to the actual interview and everything. And I did really good. I wasn't nervous or anything, And that was like a really like high peak moment for me, which is like I was so happy about it and like was ready, And after the interview, they were like, "Yeah, you good, you can do this, And the other people I was there with, the other students also came to me. They were asking me like ways that I could help them out for the interviews and stuff, things they can do and stuff to improve, and I helped them, which is crazy because I know there's two people that I actually helped by giving feedback to them who will later on go to this interview and actually get a position, you know, at for the intern legislative intern as legislative interns, which was really cool. But what happened to me was totally, different from what like, they had even imagined. I'm guessing was that like I had 3 days or 4 days before the actual interview. And so like I was like putting things together. I went home, after the mock interview, my friends, everybody was there. We started talking about it. And then I noticed I started getting nervous, But the thing is, for me, I didn't really have anybody in my corner at the time. Or, mostly throughout college, didn't really have anybody in my corner that would tell me like, yo, you can actually do this, you can do that, you don't need to think this way about imposter syndrome or anything like that. Nobody was really in my corner to tell me. So I did. I ended up coming home thinking that when I come home, I'll just get my mind off of other, most of the other stuff. So I actually came back to Tacoma and came and chilled with my family for a bit, and I told them about the whole thing. And usually when I do stuff, I don't tell nobody until like I know that I'm about to actually do. I'm in the process of doing it, or like I've actually accomplished it. So like since I was gonna just get this interview, I actually came home, tell my family about it and everything. And then based on conversations that we had at the house, which wasn't really helpful at all. Like after I told my family that, yo, I'm about to go do this, I'm about to do that. Like I did not get any positive like reinforcement or positive feedbacks or anything like that, which added to my already like nervous, mentality. Like I was already like, very very anxious about the whole thing and thinking about coming home and then I'll get something I never got, you know. And then on the day of, I got so nervous that, oh, I would say the night of, I got really, really nervous. I couldn't really sleep, you know. And then I went to the interview and totally bombed the interview, destroyed. Like I did not, like, I was not, like everything I said at the mock interview, which is crazy because the mock interview was literally to reflect the actual interview. And they asked the same questions. And when I was at the interview, everything they asked me, all the questions they asked me at the interview, I did not remember like anything that I said previously, and I did not like. I was not ready for any of the questions. I forgot to even ask the questions I wanted to ask. I didn't like give any like indication I actually wanted to do it. Like at the end of every interview, you want to make it seem like you actually want to be there and everything like that. I did not show any like enthusiasm for wanting to be there or anything, and I totally just like bombed the interview. And then when I left the interview, like I know as soon as I walked out of the Capitol, from the Capitol building, I knew that I messed up. Like, and I had a really, really big like moment right there. As soon as I walked out of the building, I noticed like I really, really messed up, and it was really, really bad. And then when I got back on campus, on the Monday, the people I noticed, the people who interviewed me, they were all expecting me to have gotten the what do you call it, the position, one of the positions, because it was multiple positions, under positions. And they started asking me like what happened and stuff like that. And then like I was so ashamed to even like talk to them about it, because I knew I let people down, and I knew I let some of them down, some of the people who, especially the lady that recommended me to go to apply for the application in the first place, for the internship in the first place. Like I felt so bad, and then they were like, how, like they were beyond themselves. They're like, how come you didn't get it? Like it doesn't make any sense at all. You were the strongest, literally the one of the strongest candidates we've seen, and you should have. There's no doubt you should have been. The interview is really easy process. Like based on what you already had, you were already in the door. You know, and then I realized that what, this is the time for me to like actually, stop thinking that way and actually think to myself that I can actually do most of this stuff, because I realized when I got back on campus that, and talking to people and the teachers who are also who were involved with the mock interview, that actually I did all the work. I did everything that I was supposed to do. I completed it. I worked hard and did everything myself. The one, like, I only failed because like I didn't like I didn't talk positive to myself, and I did not, you know, what you call it, just go through with what I was supposed to do. Like I had everything set up, I just didn't finish it. Literally, the one thing I had to do, which was the easiest part, just walk in, do what I had already done, and walk out. But I was so nervous and thinking that I couldn't do it that I actually screwed everything up when I had already done all the work. So right after that, that's when I knew that it was time, that I could actually do this. I could actually be in college and actually complete college and do a good job of it, because I knew that if I could actually do something like that, then I'm actually, I'm actually a good student, and I'm not as bad as I think I am. You know, so that actually gave me another confidence in me to apply for study abroad, which I've actually I really, really, really wanted to do the whole time I was in college, was to go study abroad. And I got the confidence, and learning from my failure that I had the previous week, that yeah, actually I can do this, and I should actually apply for this study abroad, which I thought was going to be hard too. And I ended up applying, and then I got the study abroad. And then when I got the study abroad, I was like, you know what? I'm not bad at all. I'm a really good student. I started talking to myself more positively, and then I went on a study abroad, and then I got to have a really, really good experience under my belt, you know, and also got all my credits from the study abroad, and got really, really good letters of recommendation from the people that were there. And the great thing about that is that, or the reason why I'm also sharing it, is that me overcoming that failure that I had and learning from it got me that chance to go study abroad. which I met so many incredible people. I got to go to so many like cool places in the world. Met so many important people. Like some UN, one of the some of the UN Secretary Generals. I met them when I was doing my study abroad. I met former presidents of. I met a former president of Nigeria. While studying abroad. I also went to events with like world like you know I would say great African leaders that were there. I went to a conference with these people, and I got to meet all these people, hear them talk up close in person. Which, if I had not, seen that, that failure that I went through, it's what actually prepared me to get to that point. So that's why I'm sharing this with you guys. That even when you fail, it's actually like sometimes it's a good thing. Just look at it as another way, and another door is gonna open for you. When you fail, you know that you something that you can learn from, and it's not just that I failed and it's over. Look at what happened. How did you fail? And try to learn from that because that's exactly what happened to me. And although the Washington legislation internship was really really good, and it was a great opportunity, me not being able to do that, wasn't the end. Because in the end, I used that experience and I got something even greater and something even better. That's what I'm sharing with you guys. Like, I've heard so many times, about like, oh man, prior to that point, actually, I've heard so many stories or so many, quotes about like, oh, how like you can fail so many times, or successful people saying that they fail so many times, and that's why they are so successful, or like that's how they reach where they are and stuff like that in life, and it's really, really like interesting when I got to that point and actually went through the same thing and overcame it. Like it was so like fulfilling, and so I was so excited. And every now and then I always think back to that point and tell myself, it's not bad. Like, if you fail. So what if you fail? It's not the end of the world. You always have a chance to also do something else, you know, to proceed and get, something even better. Or if you want the same thing, you can also apply again or do the same thing again and learn from your mistakes so that you don't do it again. When you fail, the great thing about when failing is that when you fail, like something, what can, you can learn from it and know what went wrong so that in the future you don't do it again. So in the failing, it's actually a learning opportunity for you. It's a learning moment that we should all, actually cherish and not just put ourselves down on whenever, something bad happens and we fail or something. That's what I wanted to share with you guys that, you know, anyways, when you fail, it's not the end. And that you should look at it as a learning opportunity for you to analyze yourself, your character, the person you are, and moving forward, how or what you can do to improve yourself or better your opportunities. But anyways, yeah, that is my um, what I wanted to share with you guys today.
Thank
You're
you
muted.
so much for sharing. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
And Xavier said that's really good advice. Does anyone else have any feedback or any questions or anything they want to say about failure or about Kofi's story?
Lo caliento por 2 minutos. Okay.
You want to say that again, Karina? I didn't hear you.
Oh, my bad. That was a mistake.
Okay. Anything that anyone else wants to add? Well, the reason we want to continue about failure. Oh, go ahead, Philip.
I heard. I've seen the Angie wrote that I've done that in competitions. Yeah, that's I could see that and it's a good thing. And what did you do? Like, what happened, Angie?
I've been in FBLA for a while, and in that I did a lot of job interviews, and then also like with Quinn this year, I did Skills USA, and I only did that for the job interview. But then I did other extra, and I did competitions, and I did pretty okay on those. But like with the job interviews, because I've spent already like 2 years like really trying to like get at least like a little bit of progress and at least know how to flow. But like I've realized like this whole junior year I've kind of like narrowed down like into myself a little bit on what to do in a job interview, but because of that I'm also more shy and more like I feel like I overshare, and I can't be concise at interviews. And so like I'm trying to better that, but like I don't know how to. And so like at some job interview competitions that I do, they sometimes say like what, like after the interview they say what you can do better, but sometimes like for the FBLA ones they don't. They just give you a paper and like rate you, but they don't really give you any feedback, and so then I don't know what I did wrong. And so that's kind of upsetting because this year I went to state, but I didn't make it into the top 15, and so like I don't know what I did wrong in the interview or in my resume at least. And so then I don't know, like the reason I'm doing it though is so that for internships later on, and then also for college interviews, because I want to do really good so that at least that boosts up what I've done in high school, and they can get like a real like view of who I am like face to face. But yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing though. Thank you for sharing. So about the, not getting a chance to like them telling you, I've been actually, I've been part of a lot of interviews, and I've also went through that too. So I totally understand what you mean by that. Like, you know, like when you finish the interview, or something like that, you want them to actually, like, if they don't accept you, you want to know like what you did wrong so that you don't repeat it and say it again, and
Mhm.
they've never like nobody, or in my case anyways, nobody has ever really like told me like, yeah, you this what you did wrong, and they are not gonna do that. You know, you're not gonna expect them to do that.
Actually,
Um,
they will. I've applied to a lot of jobs and I've gotten turned down for a lot of jobs. And
yeah,
many times, if you tell them when they give you the courtesy phone call back, I'm sorry, you didn't get the job, you're talking to the HR or whatever, you're like, if the committee has a moment and they want to tell me any ways that I could improve, I'd appreciate it. And they've gotten on the phone, they've been blunt with me. And I cried. I mean, I didn't cry on the phone, but I cried off the phone. And sometimes they heard the exact opposite of what I was trying to say.
mm,
And so that kind of feedback was like, wow, A, they weren't listening very well to me, which says a lot maybe about what they were looking for. But B, I'm not doing a very good job of answering the questions because they heard the opposite of what I was saying.
yeah,
Or they give me feedback like, oh, you only talked about stuff from this one thing, so we think that's all you are. Like I would give examples from my work experience and like, well, we didn't hear about any other part of your life, so we think you've only ever had this one job. I'm like, okay, fine.
yeah.
Does that
The
make
re-
sense? Like you can ask, and they often will give you feedback.
yeah, for
Yeah.
me, from my experience, like I've always like went on to ask, and I've like never received a response. I've left emails, I've called back, and nobody's really ever said anything. Okay, the last actually a couple of months ago, I did apply for something, another internship, and they told me that I didn't do anything wrong. They just, you know, they just picked a different person. That's
Well,
what they said.
yeah, and sometimes they have a person that they already want to hire.
Hmm.
There's an old boss of mine who I'm not going to name names, but Philip knows who they were, who would put out a whole interview thing and make people jump through big, intense interviews, like having lesson plans and all kinds of things, when that person already knew who they were going to be selecting and hiring, and that was a friend of theirs. And so sometimes sometimes there's an internal person who's already been doing the job for a while, and you don't know about that. So a lot of times, just like Philip's saying, he was a great candidate. He didn't do anything wrong. They just had someone else they were going to hire. It didn't matter who Philip was.
Yeah, that's true. That also happens. But what I would say, one advice I'll give you though going forward is that, for interviews, best thing you can do in interviews is that you try to just stay on topic, and, if they ask you something, don't try to do too much, basically, because that's when you lose. That's when you lose them, because you know that they've met with a lot of people, they heard a lot of stuff. So if you try to stay on topic and share some anecdotes, little stories here, little stories there, that's all I can tell you. Yeah, and just be professional about it. Even if you get, even if it seems like you didn't get it, try to be professional about it and end it on a good note, so that in the future, if you wanted to apply again or go back again, you have that leadway. They remember you and stuff. Uh, so that's all I can tell you from interviews. And also one last thing actually, just the last one. Oh, if when when you get a chance, whatever the interview was, you can either Google or YouTube ways, or if other people have, if somebody have posted like other interviews that are similar to yours or something that you've done before, and look at, if there's advice, there's some advice on what you can pick up from it and what they did that was good or something like that. I think FBLA is did you say FBLA or CBLA? CCBLA.
FBLA, Future Business Leaders of America.
Yeah.
So
So
kind of got moving on to the next part pretty soon. So why don't you wrap up this thought?
yeah. So yeah, basically that's a really big organization or a big group. So I'm guessing there should be something similar to that on like either YouTube or somewhere on Google that you can find, you can look up that will tell you
Yeah,
about
there
different
is.
ways. Yeah, the different ways to like for interviews or preparing for like competitions and stuff like that you can get, you can see what other people did and stuff like that, and then try to see ways that you can improve yourself. I mean, that's one thing you can do too. But yeah.
Thank you, Philip. Thank you, Angie, very much. I appreciate you guys talking. So why do you think we're spending so much time talking about failure?
Because, can I answer or not?
Yeah, go for it.
I think it's important to talk about failure because it's like a really big part of growing as a person, and you can't skip. You can't, you need to learn about failures in order to like move forward as individuals, grow as people. And most of the time, we don't really talk about failures because we see it as a negative thing, and actually, it shouldn't really just be thought of as a negative thing at all. So yeah.
Very true. Exactly. You guys are going to fail. Sorry. Spoiler alert. You're going to fail. You're going to fail a lot. Everybody does. Every successful person. You can listen to Michael Jordan talk about how many baskets and game-winning shots that he's failed at. How many of those he's missed. He apparently keeps track of them. Everybody fails often, over and over and over again. And the difference between a successful person and a person who's not living their best life is how they deal with that failure. Sometimes you learn, sometimes you just get beat up. But sometimes there's not a lesson. I hate the idea that you're always like, you can learn from your failure. Sometimes it's just hurts. And the only thing you learn is the fact that you can take that hit and you can get back up again and keep moving forward. And I think it's important to discuss this because not every student in Upward Bound, not every student at Shelton High School is going to get into the college of their choice, is not going to get into their dream school. I'm sorry. That's the bitter, bitter truth. You're not going to get a yes to every school that you apply to. Some of you will. Some of you are going to apply to any school maybe and get into it. Some of you, luckily, your dream school directly aligns with the schools that are gonna say yes to you. And some of you are going to have a dream school that's gonna say no to you, and it's gonna hurt and it's gonna suck. What are you gonna do when that happens? And that's not really rhetorical. What are you gonna do if your dream school says no, thank you? Veronica.
I would probably just find a different one.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Chrissy says it's better to take the risk. So you'd find another school?
Yeah, I'd be okay with it.
Angie, what are you gonna do if your dream school says no to you?
That was me.
Oh,
So like
sorry.
like I said, I've been looking. Yeah,
Sorry about the confusion.
Yeah. So I already know schools that I really want to go to. At least one is like top, but like I'm looking at other schools in that area, making sure that from that one school that I want to go to, is there other schools that have at least the same aspects? And so that's what I'm doing, making a backup plan. So I know at least if I don't make it, which is obviously like, but at least, have something to fall back and still be a great choice. And that I can still at least see myself grow from the campus.
And I don't really care. I mean, I do care, but whatever chooses me, I choose. I mean, yeah.
Thing. The only school that really matters, like, Nick, can you please go do something else, buddy? The only school that really matters when you're talking about like the prestige of your degree or whatever is the school you go to last. So if you start out at community college and then you get your degree and go to UW and transfer to UW and get your bachelor's from UW, you'll just say you graduate from UW. That's what you're going to put on your applications. That's the alumni network you're going to use. That's the certificate that's going to be on the wall of your office. It's going to say UW. It doesn't have to say anything at that community college that you went to. Not that there's anything to be ashamed of that college, but it's your end score. So if your doctor goes to Harvard for their undergrad degree and then goes to medical school at, I don't even know, a not very good, not very famous medical school, University of Phoenix or something, then you're going to see on their walls that they got their medical degree from University of Phoenix. And you won't really care if they got a bachelor's degree from Yale or Harvard. You're going to be like, my doctor went to University of Phoenix. I don't know how I feel about this. Does that make sense to you guys? So it's where you end up. If your dream school says no to you, maybe they'll say yes to you for grad school, right? Like there's always a chance to go and do something different. Does that make sense to you guys at all? Just like Philip, he lost one thing, but then he had experiences and he was able to get the next thing. And he can put down that he did some really amazing study abroad on his applications. And that was a learning experience and a networking experience for him. Is that helpful to you guys at all? Thumbs up, thumbs down, comments, useful? All right. So we are kind of lower on time than I wanted to be, so I'm going to move at a little bit faster pace. Tell me if I get too fast for y'all. I'm going to put on screen share. All right. So we're going to be moving on to our, all right, you guys see this UW page here? Thumbs up, thumbs down?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, cool. The next assignment we're doing on Canvas is our draft personal statement. Those of you who've done the Upward Bound program before have done a personal statement before. It's the common thing that we have you guys do. You know, Allie, you got a long way to go before you're applying to college, right? 4 more years?
Yeah.
Why is it important for you to write a personal statement right now?
So that I already have it ready.
Are you going to use the personal statement you wrote before you even started high school to apply to college?
No.
No.
We're not.
Good. I hope not. But
So I mean, so that I have a draft and can work off of it, I guess.
exactly. So that you've had time to craft your story, to think about who you are. Because these questions, I'll show you a bunch of them, but these questions are a reflection of you, right? And the longer you have to determine who you are, the more you start thinking about that, even as an incoming freshman, the more confident you're going to be. So that when you're up there for the legislation internship, you're going to know that you belong there because you spent the last 4 years figuring out who you are, knowing that you are strong, that you're a badass, and that you can take this. Does that make sense at all? And then Angie, why do you want to write your personal statement right now?
For college, except like, you know, I already like revised it and revised it and revised it.
Well, then you can just turn the one you already have in and you're good to go, right?
But no, not really, because then I still have to look at the question and see if the essay fits it, and then also if the word count fits.
Word count, great. So I have an assignment here, the draft personal statement. We'll go over this in a little bit. What I want to go first is UW's website, because UW tends to be a goal school for a lot of kids at Shelton. And not a lot of students from Shelton get accepted to UW. I'm not really sure why, but they don't take everybody. Jill, who works in the Career Center, told me that a few years ago, they wouldn't even come to Shelton. They wouldn't even bring their admissions people to come and talk to the kids at Shelton. They just weren't interested. And they didn't see all the strengths that you guys have. So we have to make them see our strengths. We have to make them see that students from Shelton are valuable, intelligent, and bring something of value to the UW's campus. So that's where you guys are starting from. So UW, when you apply to UW, you're going to use what's called a coalition application. There's normally about three different types of applications, or 3 kinds that I've run into. One is a unique application. Many schools just have a straight up application that is completely unique to their school, and you fill it out and you can't use it for anything else. The next is the Common App. Many private schools use the Common App. The Evergreen State College uses the Common App. You fill it out once and it transfers a bunch of information over to all the schools you want to apply for. Now, some schools will have special questions that they want answered or want additional information, and you'll need to add that in there. But on the whole, you can use one application to apply to a bunch of schools. The next one is the Coalition website, application, which is very, very similar. UW says they chose that one over the Common App because they said there was more fee waivers involved. And we'll talk about fee waivers later on, but just for the record, because you are an Upward Bound student, you should never pay to apply to college. It should get waived no matter what, and I will help you with that as it comes up. So, looking at the UW, you know that we will be going on and you'll be applying. It opens, does anyone know when UW's application opens? Xavier?
It should be around August.
September 1st is when their application opens. So they don't give you a lot of time to apply for this. I mean, you're going to be applying very soon. So, their essays. They're requiring one that's going to be 500 words or less. That is a max length. Now, will they read an essay that's slightly longer? Maybe. Will you lose points for it? Maybe. It depends on who's reading it, really. Some of the stuff can get really subjective. By the way, George, who teaches our leadership class, his job is an admissions officer for Evergreen. He knows admissions, and he can help you when you're applying to schools that aren't just Evergreen too. So he's a great thing to get some feedback from. So 500 words on tell a story from your life, describe an experience that either demonstrates your character or helps shape it. Okay? Then the UW's not happy with just that. The UW also wants a short response that is at max 300 words. Our families and communities often define us and our individual worlds. Community might refer to your cultural group, extended family, religious group, neighborhood or school, sports teams or clubs, coworkers, etc. Describe the world you come from and how you, as a product of it, might add to the diversity of the UW. Keep in mind that the UW strives to create a community of students richly diverse in cultural backgrounds, experiences, values, and viewpoints. This is a time when you put down the fact that you grew up in Shelton, in a rural community, in a logging community, and anything else that is in your life, that those become assets, right? Because that's a different story than people who come from other places. Not everyone applying to the UW has the same story that you do. So realize that your differences, the things that make you question where you're going, can also be your strengths. Does that make sense to you guys? You also have an optional 200-word max. Tell us about yourself or your circumstances. So if you maybe didn't do so hot your sophomore year, and your sophomore year your dad got deported, well, tell them about that. Write 200 words about how during your sophomore year you were struggling just to know when you were going to see your dad again, and that's why you weren't as successful in classes as you should have been. Or that you had all these other commitments lining up, or that you had to work to help support your family, whatever it is that happened in your life. Even if you just say, I didn't know what was important to me during my freshman year, and I thought the most important thing was just goofing around with my friends. And it wasn't until this happened here that I realized I actually wanted to do something with my life, and that in order to be the kind of person I wanted to be, school was important. Some kind of explanation to whatever happened in your life. Does that make sense to you guys? So UW's giving you a place right here to tell them exactly what's going on. You don't have to, it's optional. You may also use this space for any further explanation or clarify answer you've given elsewhere, or just share any other information that you might have. Do you guys have questions about this? Does this look unusual to you? Do you know what you're going to write?
Yeah, kind of.
Kind of. Okay. So let's move on to the next one. Here's Yale. I looked up Yale because I think I heard some people saying that Yale was a school they were interested in. And we can look up other schools. It's very easy to do a Google search and find this up. You don't even have to go through the Yale's website. Just put in Yale admissions personal statement, or whatever college it is, Harvard admissions personal statement in a Google search, and it'll probably pop up for you. Okay. So at Yale, you can do the Common App, or the Coalition website or app, or I guess there's one called BridgeQuest. So they're giving you lots of options. They're like, we use whatever one you want to. We're trying to make it easy on you. That was nice of Yale. Yale wants a lot of short answers. They want to hear about you. First off, they want you to select from a list things that you're interested in. Then they want you to write just 125 words. That's like a short paragraph, right? 500 words is about 2 pages double spaced, 1 page single spaced. So 125, that's a small paragraph. What is about Yale that has led you to apply? Some basic questions. They got some short bullets, like 35 words, 200 characters. These are like text message. These are tweet size, slightly bigger than tweet size, right? What has inspired you? What questions would you ask of someone who was invited? Who would you want to talk to? These are common, like almost first date questions, right? Here's your essay. And again, their essays, they want them short, 250 words or less. They want to know, tell us about your engagement with a topic or idea that excites you. What are you drawn towards? And they also want to know, pick one of these. Reflect on your membership in a community. Why is it important to you? How has that shaped you? Discuss an issue that is important to you and how your college experience could help you address it. Or who is somebody who's been important to you and how did their guidance instrumental in your growth? I'll give you a warning about a question like C here. A lot of times students will end up writing about their grandmother or somebody, and they will spend their 250 words telling me what an amazing woman their grandmother was. And I might really enjoy that article and think that it was really wonderful. But I'm not trying to admit the grandma to college. Grandma hasn't applied. Grandma should send me her application to Yale. She sounds really awesome. Who I want to hear from is a student. So don't make your answers about the people who have motivated you or you care about or your family or anything like that be the person you're trying to get into college. Remember that you are the person. Does that make sense to you guys? So that's kind of what Yale's looking for. Western was another school that I heard you guys talking about being interested in. So you're going to write a couple essays again for Western. I don't see a word count in the Western ones, which is interesting. But you respond to one of these prompts. Remember that these guys are going to be reviewing a lot of applications. So if there's no word count, still try and keep it under 500 words. Somewhere between that 300, 500 mark. You don't want to overwhelm your audience with what you're writing about. UCLA, yeah, I'll do that next. Okay, so UW, describe any activities you've been involved in that are related to diversity or multiculturalism in your community, or share a meaningful experience and how this has helped shape your preparation for college, or choose a topic that you want to write about. If you already have a personal statement, go ahead and send us that one. And then they give you the option for the tell me more, just like UW. Do you notice how the Western and the UW and the Yale all ask very similar questions? They want to know things that you've done. They want to know where you come from. They want to know about the diversity that you bring. And diversity just means the interesting human that you happen to be, right? All right, let's look for you. Let's look for UCLA. UCLA admissions. So so freshmen, you'll have 8 questions to choose from. You must respond to any 4 of the 8. The questions will choose the answer are entirely up to you. Tell us what they are. No, they're not. This, Allie, and maybe Karina, I'm not sure if you've seen this before. We will talk about this as you get a little bit more advanced, but this is basically your CADR. They're calling it AG courses, but this is your CADR kind of credits. Your CADR is what college application readiness. I forget what it stands for, but it's the requirements, the distribution, credit distribution requirements to get into college. So you need to make sure that you have at least 3 years of math and 4 years of English and so forth. But that's beside the point. We'll talk more about that later. I don't know. I'm not sure where the questions are for them. These are some really helpful hints on it. It looks like different schools for the graduate schools and so forth are requiring different essays. Sorry, I wasn't expecting UCLA, so of course, they're the ones that are gonna be harder. Everything else just popped up really easily, and UCLA is making me jump around and look for it. Okay, so they have insight questions. Describe an example of your leadership experience, which has positively influenced others, help resolve disputes, or contribute to the group efforts over time. Every person has a creative side and can be expressed in many ways. How do you express your creative side? What would you say is your greatest talent or skill? How have you developed this? Describe a time you've taken advantage of a significant educational opportunity. Describe the most significant challenge that you have faced and the steps that have taken to overcome this challenge. Think about an academic subject that inspires you. What have you done to make your school community a better place? Beyond what you've already shared with your application, what do you believe makes you stand out as a strong candidate for admissions to University of California? So I'm not sure if they're asking for a full-on like essay. That's something we can research more if this is one of the schools that you want. And that's actually part of what you guys are doing, I think, with the college tours and stuff as well. So I can help you more if this is a school that you want to apply to. And if you want to look more into them, we can research some more. Anyone else have a school that they're asking about?
Whitworth and Gonzaga, and this one called Syracuse University.
Syracuse, yeah, okay. So, Whitworth, admissions, personal statement. Okay, personal essay. They actually want a longer one. They're a smaller school, they have more time to read. 500 to 700 words explaining how the program for which you're applying fits with your career and educational goals, why you've chosen Whitworth as a venue for which to further your education, and why now is the right time for you to enroll. Oh, this is adult education program. That's the wrong one. um, that's School of Continuing Studies. I don't want to watch your video. They use the common application. Students writing sample, that's your personal statement right there. Man, some schools make it easy to find this and some schools don't. I'm sorry, this isn't very interesting, I'm sure, to watch me scroll through and try and figure out information on here. I apologize to you guys. I should have asked you earlier and had all this ready for you.
It's actually okay, at least for me, because then if I am to find another school that I like, then at least I know some places to look at.
Nope, that's the continuing education one again. Graduate degree. That's an equity issue where they only offer the application online. They should offer you a printed one. That's not nice. Because as we all know in this time, it can be hard for people to get internet access right now, right? And a printer. Not everyone has access to that. They might not post it. Some schools don't. Some schools, you only see it as part of the application. And so you need to start the Common App for them. So you need to go here and you need to create an account if you don't already have one. I think, how you spell Whitworth?
That's right.
Is that right? Oh, map view. Yes, you'll have to make a login and then go through that, and you'll be able to see in the Common App. And I can walk you guys through the process. Actually, let's see. Fine. Firefox. Remember that password for me. So right now I'm actually showing you guys how you will do this, because a lot of you will be using the Common App to apply to college. You can use that for Evergreen, you can use it for Yale, you can use it for Gonzaga, you can use it for PLU. Many schools will use the Common App. No, do not share my information. I don't have my phone number. Okay, so when you're in here, you can have multiple colleges selected. You'll have your Common App where you go through and put in all of your information. And so this is stuff that all the schools will want. About your family, your education, like what school you went to. You can share these tests, you don't have to. Every school from Yale to Evergreen has waived testing for this coming year. Put in all the different kinds of activities and stuff that you've done. And then Whitworth is requiring a personal statement. So Whitworth says essays, they want no more than 650 words. It is your limit, not your goal. So between 250 and 650 words. Some students have a background, identity, interest, or talent that is so meaningful they believe their application would be incomplete without it. If this sounds like you, then please share your story. Lessons that we have taken from obstacles we encounter can be fundamental to later success. Recount a time when you faced a challenge. Reflect on a time when you questioned or challenged a belief or idea. What prompted this thinking? Describe a problem you've solved or a problem you'd like to solve. I'm busy. Discuss an accomplishment, event, or realization that sparked a period of personal growth. Describe a topic, idea, concept you find so engaging that it makes you lose all track of time. Share an essay on any topic of your choice. It can be one you've already written, one that responds to a different prompt, or one of your own design. And you write it somewhere, you get lots of people to read over it, and then you pop it and you put it right into here. I'm kind of running out of time, so I don't think I'll have time to look up any more school classes, but you can upload from your Google Drive onto this Common App. I will say this other thing about disciplinary history. I've had students mark yes, and I've had students talk about getting into a fight at school and getting suspended for like 3 days because of that fight. And they explained, and in their case and in their words, they were a bunch of white kids were saying mean things. They said stuff back to them, and the white kids started throwing punches, and so they threw punches back, and there was a big old brawl in the cafeteria at the school. Guess what? That student still got accepted to St. Martin's, their first school of choice. So just because you've had disciplinary, that student very clearly wrote out what happened, what they learned from it, the causes of it, and they helped the school to understand the student in greater detail. And St. Martin said, yes, we want you at our school very much. You are a great fit for us. So just because you've had any kind of disciplinary issues or just because you failed some classes doesn't mean that the school you want is going to automatically not want you. Does that make sense to people? Do we get? All right, I'm going to stop my screen share. Well, no, I'm going to go back to Canvas really fast. So on Canvas, what the assignment is going to be is the 2 prompts from UW. And you can write between 300 and 500 words is what I'm looking for. You can choose to write both the prompts as one. If UW is one of your schools and you want to write 2 separate essays and get feedback on it, fine, go for it. We'll definitely read it. We'll take care of you. If you want to pick something different than these 2, talk to me and I can approve that for you. Especially if it's like, oh, I really want this one from this school that I'm applying to. But if you've noticed, a lot of them have very similar things to what these UW ones are, which is really asking about who you are, right? Describe a story from your life, describing an experience that either demonstrates your character or helps shape it. That's kind of the essence of who you are. And so everything like ideas or things that you're really passionate about or what have you done, all of that can be told in this story. Does that make sense to you guys? All right, so screen share is coming off. Can you guys please pop on camera if your technology will allow? I feel like I've talked a lot and I apologize if that was boring watching me shirt. I hope that was helpful. I hope seeing the Common App, which I hadn't planned on doing right now, was helpful to some of you guys. We need to start brainstorming. So in my syllabus, I put down that this is a brave space. It's not a safe space. It's a brave space. And it means that sometimes we might say things or feel uncomfortable in our growth. And that's okay. That's how we become older, right? We've all done stupid, embarrassing things that we just want to hide from. Trust me, I'll relive them in my head. It's not fun. But what I want to hear from you guys, I hope that you feel comfortable enough. But again, you're going to be telling strangers who have no idea who you are your whole life story. So it's great if we can start right now. Not your whole paragraph, not your whole essay. Can you give me a couple sentence brainstorm, each and every one of you, on either an experience that demonstrates your character or helps shape it, or about how you bring diversity to the UW's campus or any college's campus? So, do we have a volunteer to go first?
I can. Oh, Chrissy, was it?
No.
Sorry. So at least for wait, can you say the questions again?
So so give me like a couple sentences, not the whole essay, just a quick snippet, brainstorm of an experience that has demonstrated or shaped your character, or how you bring diversity to the college you want to attend.
Okay.
And
So I'll do
it's more than just race.
Okay. So for the first one, I'll say like, or it's kind of like the combination of both because like all of my life when I was, so it's a bit TMI, but like not, I've always translated for my mom, but like things at home and what things that happened at home weren't very good because of alcohol. And so when the cops were called, I was always the one translating for my mom because either it consisted of my older siblings or just that my older siblings were also in it. And so like it was easier for me to step away and translate for my parents because everyone else was really emotional, and that meant that I had to calm down my younger siblings and my nephew or like at least give them enough information that one, my parents don't, I mean, their parents, his parents don't yell at me, and two, that it's not gonna overwhelm them. So like going through that when I was younger, and then still going through that like sometimes of recent, I can at least say that I know how to handle situations that pertain to that. So yeah.
That's great. Do we have any feedback for Angie? Any things that we would want to know, or anything that we say this gives a good insight to your character? Hearing this story makes me think you're this kind of person. Xavier says it's a unique story. It is. It's unique, and it is because it's something that I think a lot of kids go through. So it's important to talk about. Anybody else? I think it shows that you're able to keep a clear head under pressure. And though that's something that I would, because it's talking about like characteristics that you have, the kind of character you have. And so you are a person that reacts well to stressful situations, and you can handle a lot, and you care about people. And you've learned to be articulate. You've learned to express yourself and speak to power. These are all really important things.
Mm-hmm. Also, like just seeing it for myself, I can see like I've gotten, like I had to grow up a little bit earlier, and like I've matured, and so like every time like people are like, oh my god, you're so mature, it's like well, there's a reason. It's not just by choice. It's, you know, something that happens at home.
Definitely. Anybody else has something they're ready to brainstorm? Do you have another volunteer? Veronica, you got something for me? Can you think of anything, just a couple ideas? Maybe I'd want to talk about this or this. What is your character? What kind of person are you?
I don't really have anything right now to share. I still need to think more.
Jade, you've known Veronica for a long time, right?
Yeah, for a while.
What kind of person is Veronica? Is she the fun friend? Is she the mom friend? Is she the mature friend? What kind of person is Veronica?
It depends on, it's like a mood thing. If you're feeling like one day you're gonna start some shit, and the other day you're feeling like, no, we're gonna be decent. It just depends.
Veronica, did I remember correctly that you took a lot of photos in your, that a lot of your vision board were photography that you took, right? And you took those beautiful mountain shots from Shelton. Does growing, what?
It wasn't all in Shelton. It was like, just like, it could be that one of them was from what was it? Mount St. Helens.
Okay.
Yeah.
So does this area affect who you are?
I guess. I don't know. I just took it because it was really pretty.
It was really pretty. Didn't you also take pictures of the protests?
Mm-hmm.
And you attended some of those, right?
Wait, what?
Did you attend protests?
Oh, yeah.
So that's something you could write about, that you care about these issues.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like, and you don't have to answer this one, but sometimes students feel like they don't belong in some kind of cultures. I've had students who have said to me, look at me, why am I going to go to this Latinx thing? People don't even read me as being Latinx. I've also had people say, well, I don't know, this is all just something that white people are doing, or all different kinds of things, right? So sometimes people can feel like that they're judged because of how they look. And so that's something that people can write about, you know, feeling like you're an alien in whatever culture that you're a part of, if that makes sense. And you can feel like that for a lot of reasons. You can feel like that just because you're first generation, you're hanging out with a bunch of academic people, or you're like in this class where it's all the smart kids and you don't feel like you're one of those people. Those are all things you can talk about. So next, how about Xavier? I want to go through all of my my seniors at least. Xavier, what could you write about? Do you have any brainstormed ideas?
Yeah, well, it's not as good as Veronica's protest or Angie's, but last summer I went to Seattle University for Washington Business Week, and I it was like a big thing to me back then. I was like, oh, gotta dress up nice. So every day I would dress up nice. They put me as the leader of a group. Whatever. Let's not talk about that. But what was important was during that time, I was just walking from a class to the dorm, and I saw someone gardening. And so I asked this person, hey, do you need some help? And they said, yeah, sure. So I got on my knees into this mud with my slacks on. And I started like pulling out weeds with them and moving some dirt along. And I just thought that was pretty good. And we got to talking. He seemed like a really nice man. And it turned out he was working at that university for about 20, 30 years. And he was also a professor. So it really showed to me that like there's this cool things that we can do. We can have our own lives beyond our jobs, and we can have fun, like just hanging around the university. Just, yeah, it really like blew my mind when he told me he was a professor. I liked it.
That's great. And that shows also your character, right? You're a person who sees somebody who maybe needs a hand and you're going to offer it. You're going to talk to people who are complete strangers and find out really cool things about them. That's fantastic, Dave. I think that'll be a really good essay to write about. Let's go to Jade. Jade, do you have any brainstormed ideas on things you could write about?
Not really. I mean, there's nothing that comes to mind.
Not really. Well, I'm going to put Veronica on the spot now. Veronica, you've known Jade for a while. What kind of friend is she? What kind of character does she have?
You know, at first she's like super shy, you know, like right now she's really quiet. But like once you get to know her, she's kind of crazy, you know? And it's a great type of crazy though. Like it's fun. She's the fun friend. She makes me try new things, you know, pushes me to go, even if I don't want to, you know? So I mean, it's cool. She's cool. She's awesome.
You know, that's actually something I noticed about Jade, because I went as an adult to help support the Latinx Youth Summit, and because I needed chaperones, and I'm like, cool, I can totally do that. But I'm not Latinx, right? So me and Jade were the only white girls there, right? The only ones, but definitely we were. And I'm like, Jade, why are you here? And she said, Veronica didn't want to come by herself, so I said I'd come too. That's a friend. What kind of friend's gonna roll up with you and go to a place where they might not think they even belong? And like, I will be there for you because you are my friend and I will show up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the kind of character I know from Jade. She's the girl that will go out there and do what needs to get done and yell at people if they need yelling at. You also went to the protest, right? And that was a positive experience for you.
Yeah.
I think you got a lot to write about. And you can write also about, you know, being the first in your family to go to college. And write about your family. What do they value? You know, do they value education? I was the first in my family to go to college, but my mom definitely valued education. Like my house was always filled with books. She would read to me, even through elementary school, she'd read like novels to us at bedtime, the three of us. Really tried to install a love of reading. This is back before internet was widely available. and she saved up money and bought us an encyclopedia set so that we would always have the encyclopedia in our house so we could look up stuff for reports and everything, not have to go to the library. So, you know, but not everyone has that. So, you know, think about your family. How much did your family value education and learning and knowledge? Are they the kind of parents that are constantly reading things and learning more weird stuff about the world? Or are they parents who are like, you know, more interested in the practicalities? Those are things that you can like look at, like where are my family? What are my family values? And then how does that affect my ability to go to college? Okay, so Courtney, brainstorm. What are you gonna write about?
I'm not really sure.
You're not really sure?
No.
What about your character do you think that you'd want to talk about?
I've been told multiple times that I'm a very empathetic person.
You are. Xavier says last year's summer program, Courtney. Xavier, do you care to come off mute and give more detail on that?
Well, she was very energetic and happy, and I think she experienced a lot last year.
Excellent. Yeah, you are empathetic. Have you helped your friends through a tough situation before?
Yes. One of my friends ran away from home Christmas Eve, and I wasn't in the neighborhood, and her neighbors, also my friends, were calling me and trying to see if I was with her. So I called her, and she told me what was going on. So I helped her through that.
You know, that can definitely be something that shaped your character, where you've had to help a friend through something really hard. You can think about any kind of clubs that maybe you've been a part of where you've done something. Maybe you organized a food drive, or maybe you organized an event where everyone who'd been touched by drug or alcohol abuse wore black, or anything else like that. Those are all things that you could talk about, ways that defined your character, right? Stories and experiences that defined your character, who you are.
Last year, I went to a March for Your Lives thing in Seattle.
Yeah? What's March for Your Life? I don't know what that is.
It was a protest against guns in schools and stuff.
Wow.
We walked from one part of Seattle to the other, a couple miles, a big group.
That's great. That's something really powerful that you can write about, you know? Are you passionate about reducing gun violence? Colleges like to hear that kids are interested in social issues. If you noticed, a lot of them, that shows about your character, but a lot of these different essays, Whitworth, you know, what are you passionate about? What ideas get you really excited? Maybe your idea that you're really excited about, Courtney, is that you want to help people and you want to stop gun violence. And that you can talk about both those things in your essay. Talk about trying to help your friends, and then realizing that that you want to do more than just help your friends, that you want to make the world a better place. And so you're trying to make your voice heard for gun violence and reducing gun violence. I think that's great. That's a definitely good starting point. Chrissy or Allie or Karina, I know we're at 3 o'clock. Do any of you guys want help brainstorming?
Yeah.
Okay. Chrissy, what are your ideas?
Can you reinstate the question again?
Tell me a story from your life or an experience that either demonstrates your character or helped to shape it. Or you could talk about the different kind of diversity, and more than just racial diversity, but the specialness that you will bring to a college campus.
Okay. So when I was pretty young, I'll just say like a background or whatever the first subject was. When I was young, my family was always anxious, like, and like very sad. Like, I don't know. Then so like their feelings were like kind of consumed me, and so like my mom, she would be like sad all the time, and then that'd make me sad, and then like she would get sick, and then like my parents would like argue all the time, and they would like kind of manipulate each other a little bit, and so it kind of hurt. And then when I grew up, and then I went to like middle school, and like I had these friends who weren't really my friends, and so that really hurt me. And like I like this sadness like over like consumed me, and it was like really hard because every day I'd feel like there was like baggage on me, like I couldn't breathe, and like I'd always like think of so many random things and be so paranoid to the point where I would literally like scream in my head, or like literally just and I also didn't love myself, like, because like I'm a Guatemalan girl, and like I'm a Hispanic girl, and I'm like in Shelton, and I went to like mostly white school, and so which isn't a problem, but like everybody was like um everybody was just like looked like this, and I looked like that, and so it really hurt and like I think I hurt myself a lot because I always contemplated and thought so much. And then finally um there was just like a day where I was like, I can't like do this anymore. Like I literally just go home and I don't even do my homework. I just like lay on my bed, and then just yeah. And so then finally one day I was like, okay, I need to like do something. and and then I started doing stuff, and it has helped me a lot because um I like I like get my mind off of things when I'm doing stuff. And yeah, and um also like Karina, she's a really good friend. Like she really helped me through those times, through that time, even though she doesn't really know it. Like um being friends with people that like can kind of relate to what I'm feeling really helped, and she was one of them. And also in one time I was like, my mom, she couldn't like drive yet, and so like she was like, let's ride the bus, and then we're like, okay. And then like we were like waiting for the bus, and then there was this homeless guy, a homeless white guy, who had the audacity to tell me and my siblings to go back to our country and like go back to Mexico. And I was like, really, you're gonna say that to us? Like, you like, okay, you can just think of the obvious thing I was gonna say, and like it hurted me, but then like I forgot about it. And then like this month I just remembered it, but because we're talking about all this racism and stuff. And so like and so when I reflected back onto that, like it hurt me, but like now, like it used to hurt me, but now it doesn't. And so yeah, and I've also done things like go to the Shelton protest, like and also like I post and like say all this like I say ACAP and like stuff like that. And there's like been people who like slide up on my story, and they're like they like try to tell me that I'm wrong, and I'm like, you have your opinion, obviously mine's a little better, but like but like you can't I mean you can talk to me, but like you can't just like be like you're wrong and blah blah blah, like, and not try to educate and listen to yourself. And yeah, and so like yeah. And also, wait, sorry for talking so long, but so I recently got a haircut, and the woman who was doing my hair, she like started like she like started like asking me questions about like, what do you think about the mask? Do you think like they're useless and that you shouldn't wear them? And I was like, well, I don't want people seeing my face, and I want people to be safe. I don't want people dying. And then she asked me, what do you think about school? Like about going online and having to work at home and stuff. And I was like, well, they've been teaching me how I've been going to school I've been going to public school, and I like go to a building and do, go somewhere else for 10 years. So obviously it is a little hard, but like as long as, me and the teacher like contact each other, it should be fine. And so she like kept on talking about like stuff that like was obvious that she did not support, and it made me really uncomfortable. I was like, I wanted it. I was literally thinking of the opposite things she was like saying. Like she was like, well, should we wear masks? Like, and I was in my head, I was like, obviously, like of course we have to wear masks. But I didn't want to speak up because I felt like she could have ruined my haircut, or she could have done something. And so I was like almost like they're sitting on the chair like, oh no. And I actually know her daughter, and her daughter is like in my grade, and it just like made me like realize that she probably influences her daughter on all these ideas. And it's just really sad to see that the parents are like not not giving, are kind of manipulating, I guess you could say, or just bringing the wrong idea to their children. And so and when I realized that, I was like, wow, like these kids really, like Shelton really needs to have a class or have electives to show, or to show what, like, systematic racism, what oppression means, all that stuff, because I didn't know any of that. I honestly, like I said in the other class with I forgot his name, but like I was like, I didn't know what Black Lives Matter. Like I thought I used to think, oh, why don't all lives matter? But then, I educated myself. I actually did it myself and found the things, while other kids are just being consumed by news and stuff. And like news can be okay, but like sometimes it's bias. Anyways, I'm gonna stop talking now. But yeah.
I'm glad that you talked, Chrissy, and I want to hear more of it. I want to be respectful of people's times. It is 3:10. We do have homework help today. I know we're watching Avatar, but I would love to go through Karina and Allie and help them do some brainstorming as well, and anyone else that we've missed. Hopefully this gives you guys a little bit of a starting point to work on your personal statements and where you're at. Please remember, you're not a vacuum. You have support. That's what we're here for. So if you're stuck getting started or what you want to say, talk to me, talk to Philip or any of the other success coaches, but also talk to your peers. It could be that they know you better than I do and can give you a lot of really great insight. So my hope is that you guys will have done just a draft, not so worried about word count, not even worried about spelling. This is your rough draft of your essay, and it is due by before midnight Monday, so 11:59 Monday night. And the reason it's due then is because I want to give it back to you on Thursday. So you have to turn that one in on time so that I have a chance to review it and give you feedback on it. Does that make sense to everybody? Yay? Quinn, I forgot Quinn. I'm sorry, Quinn. I don't know why I forgot you. We'll go over Quinn and Allie and Karina during homework time. Is that good?
Yep.
All are so quiet. And your screens are, you can't even give me thumbs up because your screens are out. Okay. I will see you guys later. We have a staff meeting to go to. Philip and I'm already getting text messages saying, where are you? Bye, guys. I will see you later.